Welcome back to Sports Video. We are in Chapter 5, and we're talking about tactical cameras, not just for your broadcast, but for sports analytics. So let's jump into it. So tactical cameras are essentially a camera designed not just for the broadcasters, right? Not just for the live stream, but really with a different focus, right? We want to see the whole angle of the game, right? All of the players, so that coaches can really get a lot of value out of this. And in soccer, they say, we want to see all 22, right? Everybody but the goalies. And this is generally a wide angle camera that provides a comprehensive field view so that coaches can look at team strategy. And it also comes in handy quite a lot. We're looking at NAC Sport here when we're tagging video for analytics post game. And we'll talk about tagging live and tagging post-game and getting the most out of your analytics. But the tactical camera is super important for analytics. Now, when we look at tactical cameras, we're looking at the shape of the team, right? The kind of off-ball movement, right? Not specifically zooming into a specific player where a broadcast might be really looking for close-ups. This is a wide-angle camera. And I have my iPad here I want to show that shows this tactical camera at a hockey game that I actually was recording last night. You can see it's nice and wide. This is showing a sideline instant replay camera. You can see at the top, we can have multiple cameras, and sometimes coaches want to see different angles, and I'm going to show you a couple different angles that we were focusing on during the game. But this is a sideline instant replay system. You can kind of so the coach can pause, take a peek at something, and digitally zoom in. And that's really nice when you have, a 4K camera or a camera that's even 1080p. You can have that wide angle and then zoom in and show a player, hey, this is where you could have gone here, but you didn't, right? So this is where we have a lot of ability. Coaches love the ability to zoom in, zoom out, and go play by play, whether they're going, slow motion, backwards, forwards, through the video and through the game. And the nice thing about this iPad in particular here using Sky Coach is that all these clips can be downloaded, and the coach can watch these clips on the bus ride home. They can watch them, at their own time and choose the angle they want to see. And so this is an important part of sports video, is accommodating coaches, because they want to become better. They want to make the team better. And there is a way to have a camera feeding the video production system that is the tactical camera, right? I'll take your eyes to this video clip here. So looking at this video clip here, what we're seeing is several different angles. And the first angle we're seeing here is this is a close-up angle, right? So this angle here is really for the broadcast. But then you'll see to the right-hand side, now the operator probably could have been wider, but that's our wide tactical camera. And you can see in the broadcast production down here, we've got all these different cameras that we can choose from in our video production software. We have to make sure to keep one very wide. And that's what the tactical camera does, and that's what we're showing here. So oftentimes when we're working with commentators, there's camera operators there, they need to see the wide angle to be able to see everything. So coaches, commentators, post-show analytics, we want to see the wide angle view of everything. And then if you're doing live streaming and video production, you can do an instant replay, obviously, choose different angles to choose from, scrub, video back and forth. But oftentimes we really want to focus on those wide angle plays and make sure we're capturing them and recording them, especially as we start to do tagging. And we'll talk about that. So because many teams are live streaming and they do have a video production system, the nice thing about that is that there's overlays, right? Sometimes there's a scoreboard overlay. Sometimes there's a shot clock. You've got scorekeeping. And we can use that in our recordings. And the coaches like that. They like to be able to see all of those additional replays and angles as long as they have the ability to have that tactical view at all times and go back to see everything. Coaches look at things a lot differently than fans do. So in this example, this is an example of a broadcast camera over here, right? So we've got our broadcast camera, and generally those are connected to a broadcast system. Now, what we can do in some cases is we can put an inline encoder in, and we can bring that into our sports analytics system. And that's often done with RTSP. And RTSP is a video streaming protocol that allows you to bring the video directly in from a camera. So that's one way to do it. With the PTZ Optics cameras that support both SDI, HDMI, and RTSP, we can come right off of some cameras like IP cameras and go directly into a sports analytics system. So we'll show that in this course on how to do that. But NACSport is what I'm going to use as an example. And oftentimes, we can bring in an RTSP video feed into the sports analytics and still send video to the broadcast system. So there's a dual purpose for these tactical cameras. Now, one of the things you'll encounter is you have a couple different options for tagging this video for analytics. You can manually tag the video, and we were showing this here. If you look at this, what we're seeing here is the ability to have a tagging window. And this window allows you to say what's happening during the game and timestamp that to the video. So the video clips over here. This is your recorded tactical camera. And then you can choose what's happening. Was it a goal? Was it a save? Was it a pass? Where did it happen on the field, right? Where did it happen on the court? These things we can tag and then create a dashboard of analytics, but we can't do that based off of a zoomed in camera. We really need to see the wide angle view in order to tag that. And then all those tags will show up in the timeline, and then we can use that information to create a dashboard. And we'll go over that more in this course, but just to give you an example. So what you'll find is, you can have an analytics person tag all of this live, but it's going to take a real dedicated person, an assistant coach, a volunteer, but it's kind of technical and it's not easy. So what a lot of teams will do is they'll have an analytics service, and Huddle has a service for this. And there's other companies that will just review the gameplay for you, give you the analytics, and you have to pay for that, obviously. The nice thing about having the live analytics is that you can review it at halftime. So if you have a halftime break, you can go and have that data to show your team. Another tip that I like to give is to have isolated recordings, meaning if you have 4 cameras, record all of them independently at the same time. That really helps when instead of just recording, this is a common early rookie mistake, is to just record the program output, meaning just the mixed video feed. So if you have 4 cameras and you're just mixing them together, you might miss some of those tactical views if you're just recording or just getting the live stream, for example. Also, there's a lot of cameras that now offer automated AI video analytics. They're okay. Oftentimes they do make mistakes, so they're not the best in the world from what I've seen. But if you hire a sports stats service, you're probably going to get 99% accuracy. Now, when you do ISO recordings, this allows you to capture everything, right? So you can have your 2/3 camera or your tactical camera, right, getting everything. But you can also have a more close-up camera that's doing the face-offs or the specific areas. You can have a camera just on the goal, for example, and then even another camera on the other goal. Now, I'm going to be doing in this course, I'm going to show you an example of this. On my iPad right now, what you're seeing is you have the ability to bring in basically up to 4 cameras angles with the instant replay system. But essentially, the coach can decide. They're all independently recorded. So the coach can decide which one of these they want to look at. So that really helps coaches to review all of these plays. You can see this 2/3 wide shot, which is great. Gives you the majority of the players other than the opposing goalie. And then you can see why close-ups are important as well. So you can see, skills on face-offs and things like that. Now, this camera here, this is the behind the goalie camera, is a really good one. And if you only have 3 cameras, I do really like having these behind the scenes goal cameras here. So something to consider We're going to be using this a lot, and I'm going to show this in our course because you can just see so much of the incoming players, whether you're doing soccer, basketball. This is a popular angle as well. And then, of course, one of the things I want to show is PTZ camera presets. Now, what is a PTZ camera preset? So I have a joystick in front of me. I'd like to ask my team member to show here. What we're going to do is we're going to show some PTZ presets and what they are, because what these allow you to do is to control your camera really quickly and move them to different locations. You can see here that we're showing, so this is a joystick controller here. And the camera right in front, I also want to show, because that's the camera that I'm going to be controlling. And just really quickly, just to show you this, what you can do is you can zoom into a face-off, right? And a lot of sports have a specific area, whether it's in football, maybe it's a kickoff area, right? And what you can do is you can press and hold a button, any of these buttons, to save a PTZ preset. This is specific to PTZ cameras, but let's say there's a face-off area, and let's say there is a kickoff area. What I'm going to do is I have preset 1 and preset 2. And what this allows you to do is you just, you're tracking the game, right? You're following action back and forth. And then randomly you need to go back to preset to the face-off area. All you have to do is click a button and boom, the camera goes there. So if you're working with volunteers, you're working with kids who are new to camera operation, if they see, it's a tip-off in basketball, boom, click that button, and you've got that tip off. Now, I want to show a couple options for this. If you look at my screen here, I highly recommend doing this. And all you have to do is print out a picture of your field, of the court, of the space, and just draw on there the preset numbers. So this is hockey. I've been using hockey a lot for these examples, but I've got 5 presets. There's 5 face-off areas. You program those into the joystick like I just showed, and have a printout right next to the joystick for your camera operators to see. Wherever there's a face-off, boom, they click the button, and now they're capturing close-ups of those face-offs. So this is in addition to your tactical camera, right? This is in addition to that wide-angle camera, but just wanted to share how important that is. Now, with your tactical camera, you want that to be dead center, right? You want that to be right at the center area so that you can go back and forth to cover the entire field, and you want it to be wide. You might have some goal cameras, right, on either ends, or you might have an additional camera getting close-ups like we talked about, or doing those presets to zoom into those different face-off areas or different areas of your sport. With the Sky coaching system that I was just showing, you can have Wi-Fi at the press box, and then another Wi-Fi system over here that can beam across. And this is something we'll dig more into too in this course. But this is where the coaches can get those sideline instant replays, right? So a lot of times, the press box is on one side, but the coaches are on the other side, and delivering that tactical view over to the coach's iPad gives them that intelligence to do better. This is a system that we're going to be showing a video of specifically soon, and I want to show how this works. We've got 3 cameras, 2 behind the goals, right, as we were showing here, and then 1 in the center. They're powered over Ethernet. We've got 1 YOLO box, which is a little miniature. It's really good for sports, live streaming and recording box. And then we've got our PTZ joystick. So this little system here is a 3-camera system in most cases, right? And I'm going to show a full game here to show you an example. This is a full example. So this is the wide shot, right? This is the technical. This is the behind the camera shot, back to the wide. So you'll see here how you can mix these shots together, but you got to make sure you're always capturing that wide shot, because that's what the coaches are going to want to go home with. So you can see here, there's reason to cut behind the shot, but in general, we're going to stick to that wide shot there because it gives us lots of room to follow the action and try to keep all the players in view. So just giving you an example here of a real gameplay that we recorded in this fashion, just to give you an example there. And then, of course, using those presets. So when we're looking at sports analytics, we're doing a couple things here. One of the things that we might be creating a highlight reel. We might be looking at ways to create those KPIs that we talked about, right? We might be showing slow motion instant replays. So I'll give an example of an instant replay here. Let me see if I can find one for you. Okay, here's one right here. Okay. So there was a breakaway. Our tactical camera's following it. They have the puck here. We're going to go forward just a hair. And what you're going to see in a second here is a goal is going to happen. And when a goal happens, oftentimes we want to show an instant replay of that. So just give this a second. We're going to cut to it. And what happens is that this is the live stream at the tactical angle, right? They've got the ball. We're seeing it live. Boom. He shoots. He scores, right? At that point, we do an instant replay. This is when the other cameras come into play, right? Now we can start to show some of those additional shots. Look how good this behind the camera, behind the net shot looks when we do the instant replay, and we're showing it in slow motion, right? So this is an example of the tactical camera doing most of the live camera work, and then those secondary cameras being so popular for those instant replays that you can see there. So just to give you an example, the tactical camera ends up doing most of the video work there, live and recorded, and that's the camera that the coaches want to see. You'll also notice that there's overlays on this video footage, right? So we've got the scoreboard. Now, I'll be honest, the timer wasn't running the way it should have been, but you've got a little bit of extra data for the coaches to look at. You can see there's like 3 seconds left on the scoreboard in the stadium. I was a little off on my timer there. It's tricky to do all of this, but just to give you some of those examples there. Now, another thing we want to talk about in this course, especially when we're talking about tactical cameras, is pixels per foot. And this is something that you might have to really think about. Essentially, one of the ways to think about, are you getting enough pixels to capture usable data for your sports analytics, especially if you look at my iPad here, especially when we're zooming in, right? Especially when we are trying to show the details of what's going on. So when a coach wants to stop and zoom in there, this is a pretty good video feed, right? Let me see if I can make that better. Like, I can see what's going on. I can explain that to a coach. This is 4K video, right? So I can explain, I could zoom into that right there, start the play, and really show details to my players. And that's important to many coaches, even from a wide angle view. Now, when we're looking at a wide angle view and we want to know, hey, how many pixels per inch is over in this space here, what we can do is we can use pixels per foot. So what we do is we take the number of pixels available in your camera and divide it by the width of the space. So like the width of a goal, right? So in general, just to give you, this is, overviewed in the book as well, but in general, just general viewing for like security purposes, 10 to 20 pixels per foot is okay. And then 30 to 70 pixels per meter, if you're looking at meters there. And essentially, broadcast television usually will have 30 to 40 pixels per foot. But for sports analytics, if we really want to look at the players in detail and zoom in on them, we need something higher, like 40 to 60. And if we're looking at a sport with really fast, like ball movement, we might even want to do more than 60 pixels per foot. And I'll give you this example here. If you're fully zoomed out, when you're looking at a tactical view, right, and you're fully zoomed out and you want to cover a field width, this is a standard soccer field at 225 feet. Here's 2 examples here. One is 1920, which is the width of a 1080p video camera, and the other is 3084, 3840. That's the width of a 4K camera. You'll see here that you'll get twice the amount of pixels with a 4K camera. So if you want to use a wide angle tactical view camera and you want it to be really wide like the coaches say they want, you're probably going to need 4K to get usable video footage, especially if they're using that digital zoom feature. Now, another thing you can do is start to use optical zoom, right? You can use 2 cameras And so the more camera angles you give coaches, the better, because that will give you more pixels to work with. If you're looking at a goalie, for example, you can put the camera on the far end and you can zoom in to that angle and use optical zoom to enhance your pixels per foot. And now you'll see, even with a 1080p camera, we're in that neighborhood of 50 to 60 pixels per foot where you can really get good details for your tactical cameras. All right, that might have been more than you need to know about tactical cameras. You can learn even more in the book. And it's an important thing to think about, recording those tactical cameras for sports analytics and coaches, also with a dual benefit of providing your main camera feed to your sports live streams and recordings. I'll see you guys in the next video.